Well, hello, teachers. Just so you know, it's actually May 13th. This is the last day of the fourth quarter that we're assigning grades or assigning a work to our underclassmen. And so as I was working today to try to, finalize some grades and stuff, I got to thinking, I could just imagine that maybe it's August and we're gearing up for starting the year, doing something like this. And right now in May, it's in the back of my mind just hoping that we don't, but it may very well be August right now when you're watching this, and here we go again. But I got to thinking, like, this is a good time to reflect on how I did things sort of hurriedly as I set it up over spring break and what I would do a little differently. So, again, without having a crystal ball of what things are going to look like, a couple of things. First, I think there are pros and cons to having a Google Classroom for each separate period. I have one integrated science Google Classroom, but I have two sections. That creates a little extra work because it organizes things alphabetically. But I think I would probably do that again because I feel like I'd be duplicating a lot of work. And there's some weird things in Google Classroom when you try to do things with two classes. Like I remember it wouldn't let me schedule things for tomorrow. It always grayed that out. And I don't know, maybe that's fixed by the time we're seeing this. But the other thing that again has pros and cons is putting everything on this Google Slides. So this is what was kind of given to us right before spring break as we headed off for what we thought might be a day or a week of e-learning. And I hadn't used Google Slides to organize things like this before. I had just used Google Classroom. I think the benefit of it is that I could have everything very easy to find. Here's something that I did. I'm actually going to show you like what my pages look like. So when the kids opened it up, this was the first slide. It told them to click the present button, which makes it look like a slideshow. And then you see what I was able to do? I could put links in. So I put a new slide in every day, but they can always go back and find a quick link to something previously. Because as we know, a lot of our students got really behind and they weren't sure where to find things. So this was like really easy to, as like a curator of everything, like all my videos, I had a daily video. I had a lot of times I had videos that I used for giving notes, or I had links to things like that. So so if they clicked here on Wednesday the 29th, it went right there. So just a thought. So there was where my video was, and here's my email address, and this is sort of the tasks for today. And they could go to the next page. And I was doing a lab that day on Gizmos, so I could give them this information here. Then I usually put something like this, just in case I got lost. There was always an obvious, like if they were looking around, like what to do. And then there was this, and then that was it. So I just put that on there each day, and again, pros and cons to that. It made for some extra work. Like every day I had to like put everything into the Google Slides, and then I had to put a link to the Google Slide. But I think this was kind of nice. Like, you see how I wrote start here, Wednesday, May 3rd. I had that for every day. So they always knew like what exactly to do to start. But it was always just a link to my Google Slides presentation. Would that be necessary? Probably not. But it is one thing that I did. So then here's probably the biggest thing that I think just created more work for me. So I'm going to go to last Friday's assignment. I kind of did a last little quiz. And if I open it up, so when we open these up, we got this, I wish I didn't do it this way, this little pencil here. And that's what allows us to be able to go in and see our responses. And then I use the spreadsheet, the Google Sheets, to kind of organize. So I had like 43 kids in my class. There were a few extras in there because of my daughter was in it just for me to practice things. But when I click on this, you see it brings up a spreadsheet. I had a different spreadsheet for every single assignment, and it was I just had so many. It was crazy. So here's something that you can do. You can make one spreadsheet, And then what it does is it makes a different tab in that Google Sheet. And I really wish I had done that, because then I could have like one sheet per unit, and I could just have one tab open at a time, and it would just be a lot fewer, Google tabs open. And I mean, I've actually got I've got 2 different devices down here and 3 screens that I'm working with, and it just got to be a little nutty. I thought it might be better, but anyway, I'm going to cancel out of that because I do have a spreadsheet that I can use. So here's the other thing that I did. So this is how kind of everything came in. They come in order that the kids did them. And then what I would do is there's a little, like in the upper left corner, that's the way to select everything. And then what I would do is make it a little easier to see. So for example, I would change the text size from 10 to 12. I would widen the rows a little bit. I would center things. I just kind of like the way it looks a little bit more. But then here's what was helpful. So when I was ready to record the grades in Classroom, I needed it to be alphabetized. And when I needed to do it in PowerSchool, then I need it to be by period. So on every single assignment, the first question I ask is, what period are you in? And there were 2 choices, one in my 7-8 period. And then, what is your last name? Because I can't alphabetize based on email address because it's by first name. So under here, under data, you can sort. Once it's all highlighted, data row, header row, and then I did last name. So when you sort it that way, and then you get alphabetized by last name. Now, I suppose a kid could misspell his or her name, but that typically didn't happen. I did see some alphabetizing. It was kind of weird, but that was no big deal. So then I could look at this, and then their score is over here, and I basically made a decision, what is their grade going to be. I did not use the actual score from the Google form to put automatically into Google Classroom, because I kind of curve things in a way. So, I mean, they don't have to get 18 out of 20 to get an A, especially not when they're e-learning. So anyway, I would record all those, and then I would go back and highlight the whole sheet again, and this time when I sorted it, I would first sort it by period, then by last name. And then when I click sort, now I have all my first period kids first and alphabetized within that. And then once I was down through Alex Winjet, then the 7-8 period will come up, starting with Barlow and all the way down through those. So it really did help. Now, one other nice thing about reformatting it is when a kid would do an assignment late, sometimes I would get a notification, but usually what would happen is I would go here into the spreadsheet, and when somebody had done something late, it shows up as the very last line, but it's that old formatting of small text and not centered, so it definitely sticks out. So it was very obvious to me when somebody had done something late. Then I could go back and make sure I got them included into the grade in Google Classroom and the grade in PowerSchool. So again, I know you've all experienced this like I did, just so much duplication of work, and it ended up being a real mess. So there's probably other ways of being smarter too. Nothing's coming to me right now, but again, if we venture into this more long term, I'm going to be a little more thoughtful about how I go into it, set things up. I think my kids did a pretty good job of finding things. They weren't as confused. Sometimes I would hear from students like, I'm not sure where to find things. Things are kind of all over. And I know, we were just making it up on the fly, so maybe that's why. But with a little forethought, I'll bet we can be a little more helpful for the kids in some cases. So, all right, well, this has gone on long enough. Have yourselves a good day.